Every day, hundreds of thousands of people drive over the Cahaba River. Most of them have no idea how amazing it is or how important it is.
When I finally came out to the Cahaba for the first time ever, it was exuberating, and it was a true escape from the stress of life downtown in the city.
Daddy used to bring me down here in diapers. I brought my two boys, I brought them up the same way I was brought up. The river is one of the greatest teachers in the world, I believe. Like I said earlier, I mean, I feel closer to my dad when I'm down here.
There had been a shooting in our neighborhood, and some of my peers were involved. The same guys that I went to school with, I hung out with. I know that if I had not been fishing on that particular day on the Cahaba, I would have been with them in that same location, and only God knows what would have happened.
Spiritual. It's better than dope and beer and whiskey, I can tell you that. Everything else, you be out here in the sun, fishing and watching the osprey, that big old osprey we saw come by and catch a fish, shoot. How high you want to get? It's been proven. You get cut off from nature, you get emotionally disturbed. It's called nature deprivation. It's in the books. It's a dang disease. That's one of the reasons why we got to have precious places.
It's nice to get out with the family and enjoy the beauty of being outside. I think it's a little more challenging to find outdoor spaces for children to get out and enjoy it, but I think definitely the Cahaba River provides those opportunities, and I know Jack loves getting out. Doing a lot outdoors, so we're glad we're able to expose him.
I think it would be beneficial if we could make parts of it more accessible, even considering this trail here that we travel down to get to this particular spot is a good trail in Irondale, but other parts of the Cahaba is not accessible. We got to be able to make it more accessible for the people to enjoy.
We consider it the longest free-flowing river that still exists in Alabama. There's lots of longer rivers, but we've dammed up most of them for power generation or flood control or for a variety of reasons.
Wild and free, undammed, and the greatest biodiversity of any water in North America.
There are 131 species of fish, 28 species of freshwater snails, and 34 species of mussels in the basin that are still extant.
We probably have more different kinds of mayflies in this river than anywhere else. We have many different kinds of crayfish, aquatic turtle, on and on and on. If it lives in the water, there's probably more different kinds of it living in the Cahaba than anywhere else.
Historically, you may not be aware of this, but the Cahaba River, we used to have mullet runs. There used to be Gulf sturgeon. It used to have sturgeon that swam out in the Gulf and swam all the way up here to Centerville to spawn.
My friend and I was pole fishing, and that thing raised up out in the river, the ridgeback. We thought it was a monster or something. We didn't know what it was. We threw our poles down and run home, and nobody believed us, not even our husbands. We hooked the hook in the gills and pulled it up to the bank. Somehow or another, they got it on my daddy's coal truck. We hauled it around everywhere. People oohed on. It weighed 360 pounds. It had a wash tub full of eggs in it. It's a saltwater fish, I think. And see, it came in when it was the river was flooded. They can't come up the river anymore.
Once those large dams went in on the Alabama River, that denied access for those fishes. We love to see some fish ladders on the two dams in the Alabama River, and they're a common sight out west. One of the species of mussels that's out here is the elephant ear. It's actually a fairly large freshwater mussel, and it uses Alabama shad as its primary host. And the Alabama shad is another one of those anadromous fishes that lives in the Gulf and does spawning runs up the Cahaba River. And so all of those, it's a really common mussel, but there's been almost no recruitment since 1976 when they closed the dam. So we have this 40-year-old population of this mussel that's still sitting in the Cahaba River looking for its fish host. There's a number of species of mussels like that.
Female mussels have evolved to look like fish lures. Each mussel species attracts a specific host fish, and that host fish bites the lure and gets a mouthful of mussel larvae. The larvae will ride upriver with the fish to new habitat.
Mussels are bottom feeders, and they're filter feeders, and there's not any, you hardly ever see one down here anymore. We used to pick them up, crack them open, put hot sauce on them and eat them. I wouldn't eat one out here now on the bed if I found one. But you see one every once in a while. But it used to be they'd be all over the place in springtime. After some of the stuff that's been put in the river, the mussels disappeared, the carp kind of disappeared. Soft shell turtles had disappeared. We'd be sitting here right now and there'd be some come up. And I don't think you've seen one come up. I don't know. It bothers me.
My frustrations as a natural resource manager is that so many people, A, they don't know that it's here, and B, when they see it, they don't recognize the health issues that it's facing. And they look at this landscape and think it's pristine, and it's far, far from it. It does have its problems. It's got off-site species. It's got invasive species. It's got highly altered hydraulic regimes. The days that the river used to function in its native capacity are gone, and it's carrying a much heavier silt load, and it's much more shallow than it ever was historically. And I think you can get a lot of fishermen that'll tell you that know that it's not near as deep.
We used to climb up the trees and you could jump off in there, it's over your head. Now, if you did that, you look like an ostrich because it's not waist deep. They used to out in there, it was nearly 40 feet deep. A guy that helps me on the farm fishes, he got a depth finder. Now he said it's not quite 20, it's about half what it used to be.
Increased stormwater runoff that brings various pollutants into the water, mainly dirt, which causes some real problems, but also the increased flow of stormwater runoff as we make the ground more and more impermeable by paving it or building houses on it. More and more rain has to flow into the river because it can't soak into the ground. And when it flows into the river, it artificially raises momentarily the flow in the river. And it really changes the river. The river has to grow to fit the increased flows. Rivers probably get a little muddy after a rainfall in nature, but it's a very small amount of particulate matter compared to what we have in the Cahaba nowadays. And there we have technology that can help us with that. There's ways we can make roads absorb more rainwater. We can divert that water into places that will allow it to slowly settle in and absorb into the ground. But we're going to have to make the decision to do that.
It has shown some improvement due to all of the efforts that a lot of the watershed partners and other folks that have been involved in wastewater disposal and stormwater management issues. It's improved dramatically as we get down towards Shelby and particularly into Bibb County. The river really improves, and it has some terrific habitat left for a lot of these really rare animals. The coming freshwater crisis, it's a top 5 natural resource issue that's coming that's expected for this century. There's going to be dramatic changes in the economics of water and the way water is utilized. And the idea is to use these animals to promote more of an ecological restoration so that it can sustain the folks of Birmingham and those of us that live downstream for a long, long time.
The Cahaba River is one of our most important resources for drinking water for Birmingham Water. We get at least 50% of our water from the Cahaba River. It was the original heartbeat of Birmingham, and it is still the main arteries of this distribution system. If you can keep any contaminants out of the source water, that makes treating that water easier and cheaper. If the Cahaba was not a very clean source of water, the cost of treatment would go up, and it impacts all of us, because if the cost goes up for that treatment, that cost will be ultimately paid by the customers that receive the water. We all know that the essence of life centers around water. There is no substitute for it. If it's not here, there's no option. There's nothing else you would have to quench your thirst.
We're very fortunate in Birmingham. We do have good quality water. It's very important for us as a restaurant, and it always has been, to support a healthy water supply. I think water is a very, very, very important thing in the world today, and we've got to do everything we can to manage it and protect it.
God created this earth, and he gave us clear instructions in the book of Genesis, chapter 1, chapter 2, to manage the earth, to take care of it, to oversee it. And we have an obligation, we have a mandate from God to do that, and making sure that it is here far beyond our years so that other people can enjoy it.
It's great for day trips. It's great to go fishing. It's great to go swimming in. It's super important in a lot of other ways. It's important as a drinking water source.
More people understand how precious this resource is and how much fun it is, and how you can come out here. You don't have to go to Water World, USA. Man, this is it.
There's the sounds of animals, of ducks, of crickets. It's just the most relaxing kind of music you can listen to.